because there's a game behind the game. There's a game the artists have to play.
That's right. Yeah.
But there's also decision makers, taste makers.
Yeah.
There are individuals who have a lot of control and agency, even, dare I say, manipulating the market in such a way to reward one genre of artistry as opposed to another.
That's right.
Right. And I know it breaks down even ethnically and culturally and every other which way, right?
Yeah.
Politically and otherwise. Um, I guess the question I will pose again is, how do artists influence that?
So that's a really good question. And, I've only met a few artists who've been successful at it. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest with you. It's one of those things where it's just like the stock market. Like, so for example, Elon Musk is able to do cryptocurrency fluctuation just based on a Twitter. He
Mm-hmm.
makes one tweet and people are like, gotta buy Dogecoin, and then that goes tank and he's like, I'm not buying Dogecoin anymore. And then that fluctuates the market. But there are ways for artists to be able to get ahead of it. And it kind of goes back to what you had previously said, is that you need to connect yourself with the right people. The art world is actually a very small, tightly knit group. In every city I've been to, the same artists fluctuate, the same artists are at the events. But the people
Mm.
who you think have no credence, or the people who you think may not be a big player, are probably the ones that you want to talk to, which is crazy. In the art world, you never really truly know someone who has the pull if you don't give them a chance to have those kind of conversations.
Mm.
So say for example, you have, and this is actually a true story. There was one lady, the first piece of art I sold was to a lady named Sharon. She worked with me at Home Depot, and I sold her this little piece for like $500, a small little piece. And she, from her one sale, she was able to get an additional 10 sales from her one sale. She went and told her mama, she told her daughter, she told her sister, she told all her mama and them in Alabama. And people are like, I want one too. And Nicole, oh, I got a great art deal. And Nicole, go ahead. And like that really will blossom your collectors are your base. They're your fans. You have to have a mentor, and you have to have a champion. A mentor is going to teach you the ropes, but a champion is going to be the one talking about you when you're not in those rooms. They're going to be the one saying, oh my gosh, I just got this amazing Kevin Cole piece. You've got to get it. And so when you collect a piece by an artist, the collector has more skin in the game now, right? So they're going to do everything they can to buy more of those pieces. So I have a Kevin Cole, right? So I want everyone to buy a Kevin Cole piece. I do, right? Because if everyone buys a Kevin Cole piece, and that piece goes up in value for me. And so it's important to make sure that you are paying attention to those first time collectors, the people who you don't think, who aren't going to drop $10,000 in the sale, the one who's dropping 100, 200, $300 in the sale. Those are actually the people who are going to be your biggest champions. I've seen it happen. That one piece turned into almost I think it was like $15,000 worth of sales that she was able to give a particular artist just because she was just screaming their name to everyone who would listen. So
Now, once again, this gives me energy. I feel positive about this because once again, that tells me that there's a lot you can do as an artist
yes,
to create, financial solvency and independence and do what you love, right? Um, Artists have more agency than I think many of them realize, based on what I'm hearing.
it's true. Yeah,
But I'm also aware of the fact that people play games.
yeah.
What are some of these games that people in the art collecting world play that artists need to be very aware of?
So there's a lot. The art world is really interesting. So
Yeah.
one of them is and I kind of mentioned it before, is that you'll have collectors, they'll do cohorts of different collectors. And this is like one of the games that they do very often is they'll get maybe like 10, 11 people, and they'll do like a fractional art purchase. And that means that everyone would put, say you got like a $10,000 piece, everyone puts in a certain slice of that money, depending on how many people are putting money into the pot.
Yeah.
Artists will only get that small slice of money. And there's ways to do this. You can do contracts to say, you know, you can't sell this piece of art for a certain amount of time. Or if you do sell this piece of art, then, you know, for this threshold, then you're going to come back and pay me a certain amount based on that. But I've seen too many times where artists will, I mean, collectors will go pay like the low for these pieces, sit on it for a few years, and then they'll get all their friends to buy all these pieces. They'll go to auction houses and they'll bid up their own art pieces.
Mm.
You know, they'll go and there's like 12 people who've already put money into the pot. They're all bidding it up. And then that one person who really wants that piece because everyone is talking about this artist, now you're walking out with 4.5 million, you're patting each other on the back, and the artist is sitting there looking like, I only got 10,000. Like, you know?
Now the game is done. Because I was trying to figure this out, like what's going on?
Yeah.
So people will buy an interest in a piece of art, they'll lowball the artist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be one person, it can be multiple people.
It could be a group of them. Yep.
It's almost like they're leasing the art.
Mm-hmm.
We want this art. Yeah, you're the originator, you're the owner, but we're going to get access to this art. We're going to lease the art with a certain dollar amount that we've agreed to in the contract, however that's done. We can take this art to auction, have our buddies, pals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and other people we know. We maybe, I mean, really artificially inflate the market.
That's basically it. Yeah.
The art sells for a couple $1,000,000 because we have an ownership interest in it. In the sale of the art, we get our money from the sale of the art. We're good.
Yeah.
But the artists who
They're
made
left.
an agreement with them, got in bed with them.
There's nothing left for them.
So they bought the art for 40K, for instance, or bought the right to sell the art, but they bought it for 40K. And then they go inflate the market.
Yeah.
The art ends up selling for 4 or 5 million, but the artist only gets to, oh man.
Yeah, it happens so often. That's how they can control it. I hope I told all the secrets. This is like a Shannon Sharp Club Shay Shay. But you know, I do like that. That happens. I've actually met a lot of artists that this has happened to. It's like flipping, you know, flipping a house. You know, you buy a house, the low, and then, you know, sometimes you do it in a quality manner and you get your return on investment plus, you know, 150 or 300% markup. It's the same thing with art. You'll buy a piece of art and you can flip it and get like a 300%, 400. Sometimes it's way more than that. Astronomical markup based upon how you're able to manipulate, fluctuate. And it depends on who the collector knows. Who knows if this collector doesn't know the director of Sotheby's? You know what I'm saying? They get some showing at Sotheby's and inflate this whole thing. So it happens a lot. And I see that a lot. And my heart bleeds for the artists because they're struggling to pay their bills. They're struggling to, because this is what they love, this is their passion. They're struggling to pay their rent, and you have people making millions off of their hard work and intellectual property.
Yeah.
That's why you know, one of the things that I'm really kind of gung ho about is creating a transparency portal where you see how much these pieces were, the provenance, looking at the provenance is very important. Seeing how much it was originally purchased for.
Okay, so but the individuals who are listening who may not be in art, define that.
So a provenance is basically like a record of how much this piece was sold for, where it's been, what shows it's been in, what museums have held it, who's leased it. You basically get a whole historical record of the art piece. You see exactly where it's been, what it's selling for. It gives transparency to the piece. And so you're able to do like fractional markups based on that provenance. So say for 10,000, and then you go to the next person. Oh, I want to sell this piece. So how much you pay for it? Well, here's the provenance. Pay $10,000 for it. I'll tell you what, since they've been in 10 more museum showings, they just got an award from the High Museum. I'll give it to you for 25. it's fair. Because just being in those shows, you kind of padded the value of the pieces, and you're able to equitably sell that for that amount. And in a way, it actually does reflect really well on the artist, because now that artist knows that that provenance has been marked up, and they can sell their pieces for 25, 30,000 now, because I just sold a piece for $25,000, $30,000. So now the artist is able to sell it for that markup as well. So there's ways to do it, but you have to be really savvy and understand exactly what you're doing, and how you're doing it.
Okay. So, rudimentary question.
Mhm.
I'm an artist.
Mhm.
I create a piece of work. You said something caught my attention. You buy that piece of work. It's not like I can turn around, or maybe I can, and have duplicates of that piece of work.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
now
as
that
so as an artist, I have to first make the rounds, build the value. But once I sell that piece of art, to have multiples of it deflates the value.
it does.
So I have to cash in on this art before it gets to the final purchaser.
That's right.
I gotta build the value as much as possible.
Yep.
Okay, so
That's a
I think
that's a good one.
I think I just indirectly answered the question, but I want to hear what you have to say.
No, you definitely did. Prints can be detrimental. It depends on how you do it. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen prints like you have like maybe a limited edition of 5. Only 5 of these will be made. And that's it. Each edition that's lower than the next will increase in value, right? But I've also seen artists do this, where they'll do 100 prints or 200 prints, and there's only one original, right? Every time you make that print, you're devaluing that original. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe saying art can't be devalued is actually not right. If you are flooding the market with prints, that piece no longer has any special credence or value to it. So you have to be careful about how you go about it. Now, if you did a limited edition of recreations, no, that's different. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but you really, as a true collector, really wants the original. They don't want everyone to have. It's kind of like a girl going to a party and you show up and you're both wearing like the same clothing. You're just like, wait a second, this is embarrassing.
The exclusivity is gone.
The exclusivity is completely gone. So I've seen artists make that mistake where they're just flooding the market with prints. And I mean, I've actually, that's happened to me where I bought pieces thinking that it was original. Then I go to someone's house and they have the same piece. I'm just like, wait, who sold that to you?